Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am a living terrible idea factory, Evan Irwin.
Hey, there he is.
And we get started each week, as we do, by saying hello to my two co-hosts, not terrible idea factories, Aaron Campbell.
Well, since we're doing this, I'm bitchy salt mine, Aaron Campbell. Hi.
Ruben Pressler.
Vagabond troubadour roustabout good for nothing
Ne'er-do-well. We did it. We got there, fam. Now,
part of the widely ignored podcast, Magic Mike's.
There we go. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Am I right?
Absolutely. So that was fun. And we'll talk about why that came up later. Either way, we get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us on highest level on Patreon. Note we do have a raid at the end of the show. For those who are watching live, we go help somebody out in the community. And we also have Kickstarter surveys, which I'm going to cut that off tomorrow as I cull all the stuff together, send it to the fulfillment company. You guys can get the matchbooks, you can get the pop sockets, you can get the tokens. All that stuff's going. It's just been sitting on my desk for a while, so let's get that going.
I'm excited.
That said, we are going to do a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. Exclamation mark raffle gets you in on it. And if you are a subscriber, you get 2 entries because we said so.
That's right.
Which is fun. And no matter what we were planning on talking about this week, Wizards decided that we were definitely going to talk mostly about one thing tonight. Thank you, Wizards. We appreciate you providing so much news. Wizards of the Coast has unveiled the future of Magic eSports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot. It's a lot. And for what it's worth, I'm totally okay with that. Dump that info on us. Let us take a look at it and just dig through it and figure it out. Because while they have this is a complete shift from the organized play as previous. This is the complete shift from us asking why is this person in the MPL. This is a complete shift of what is the MPL. Yep. We figured it out. It is actually going to be the best Magic players.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about it. They doubled the prize pool for Magic. They super duper invested in the paper part of the program, which was honestly, concerning when people were treating the last, MC or whatever, like, well, this is it. It's been a good run, guys, or whatever.
Exactly.
So they saved us. I'm going to use a lot of this from Willie Edel's quick guide to the August 14th announcement. I think he succinctly puts a lot of this stuff together. Willie's great. He says, Worlds 19 is not going to happen until February 2020. Let's talk about that first. Same invites, all that's still happening. It's just they got to shift it to February 2020 for whatever reasons.
Sure.
For Worlds 2020 to 2021, there's no date. The only guaranteed slots are for the PT Finals champions. We'll get to that in a minute. And all Mythic Invitational champions. Those are 3 slots each, and we'll talk about the rest of those whenever they let us know. The MPL is shrinking. It was 32 players, now it's 24 players. They also, by the way, are getting rid of streaming contracts.
I'm sure Savich is breathing a deep sigh of relief.
I didn't have a streaming contract to begin with. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, which was kind of, in hindsight.
It was a point of consternation for the community, so it's good to not have.
But they are replacing that with appearance fees, which is what it should be. The idea that somebody's being paid to stay at home. No, these people now have a financial incentive to come to these events. And I thought that was a great change.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. So in order to get us from the previous system to the new system, we're going to have a partial season.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
Where they have some graphics on the Magic the Gathering site of like arrows pointing.
A lot of flowcharts.
Stuff goes and whatever. Essentially, one of the things to talk about, to be clear about, that there's now a Players Tour. They gave us back the PT. And there's actually going to be Players Tour qualifiers, literal PTQs.
And theoretically, Players Tour Hall of Fame.
Yes, we are going to have our Hall of Famers back in and automatically invited to all of these events.
Nice.
Every Players Tour is going to have an average prize pool of $200,000. There's going to be 3 in each region, Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And then there's going to be a Players Tour Finals, which is like, like if those are PTs, this is like the giant PT, the Worlds or at the end of the year, however you want to think about it.
Right.
And you can get there via hosting qualifiers, which is what the stores are going to do. whether they're Wizards Play Network qualifiers or their actual Players Tour qualifiers. And in fact, the way they've laid it out here for Players Tour qualifiers, for our PTQs, as we have known them in the past, travel provision for the winner is required for those organizers to make it happen.
So that's a cool change too.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things to talk about, but
Right.
worth
So,
noting.
right. So let's try to reframe this a little bit. Okay. So the top 24. This is the MPL. Okay. This is what you would imagine as platinum. Is what used to be platinum, and they created a whole new level of pro, essentially called the Rivals.
I love this.
The
Yes,
Rivals
I also
League.
love this.
Yes, the Rivals League is where you go up and down. If you're going to get to the MPL, you got to go through Rivals first, and here's how you do it. Rivals is going to be the Talent Development League. Consider it a second or access division to professional play. Will also serve as a relegation division, which means when someone goes from MPL down, this is where they fall for the bottom MPL players. Now, in the partial season, again, this is the 6 month, not the whole year thing. The Rivals is going to have 32 players. This is the bottom 12 MPL players are going to fall off the MPL and go here. The top 8 arena players, based on rankings of their mythic points accrued from arena events only. Top 8 tabletop players, based on their mythic points accrued from tabletop events only. And 4 discretionary invites, because it's Wizards program and they can do whatever they want.
Right. Aaron, how do you feel about bottom MPL competitors?
I'm here in support of bottom MPL players. So
Good.
Wow.
Just checking before we.
I eagerly await my discretionary invite as a bottom MPL
as a
player.
bottom MPL player.
Now, I would note.
If you do well, then you'll become a top MPL player.
That's a terrifying thought.
Just how that success works. Now, look, just to quickly note here about the discretionary invites. I have no problem with discretionary invites in these types of systems. If the person, they invite, because they want to, and if that person does well enough and actually wins the event, well, they won the event. They
For
jumped
sure.
through the hoop. It wasn't just like, oh, you are deemed whatever, which was kind of the weird old system. No, you gotta crawl through it still. You still gotta get through all those competitors.
Yeah.
All right, so the Rivals League is going to have 46 people in it for the 2020-21 season. This is what they want to start in. They want to start in July. Is that correct? They want to start in July and then in August. Is that correct? Or they start in August and then in July. Either way, they want. So this is going to be actually for the entire year. They're going to have 46 people in it. The bottom 4, there's that bottom, in MPL at the end of the 2020 partial season. Okay, the top 12 arena players, the top 12 tabletop players, the bottom 12 from this MPL gauntlet. The MPL gauntlet is all new. This is going to be a tournament between the bottom MPL players, there they are again, and the top Rivals players, not previously invited into the MPL. The gauntlet, so in that case, is going to have 16 players. It's going to offer 4 slots into the 2020/2021 MPL. Those 16 players are going to be, again, the bottom MPL, 17th through 20th. They're going to be the Rivals players ranked 3rd to 8th. They're going to be the Rivals players ranked 3rd through 8th in tabletop. Okay, so now we're here to the Players Tour, talked about a little bit earlier. There's going to be 9 of them in 2020, 3 in each of those regions we have mentioned, Americas, Europe, and Asia. Where they're going to be, not sure yet. They'll tell us later.
Sure.
3,600 invites total from all of these events. And they're going to award
4 events, right? This is 9 events.
Yeah.
9 events. That's a lot. Now, these events are going to award player points. There's going to be mythic points. That's the stuff you get for arena play. There's going to be players points. That's the stuff you get for tabletop play. All right? So that's where those are at. There's going to be 500 people in the Americas one with 250K up for grabs. 400 people are going to be in the Europe's one with 200K up for grabs. And 250 are going to be in Asia's Players Tour, and that's going to be a $150,000 prize pool. The events are not region locked. Once you qualify for a Players Tour, you can play one in any of the events regardless of where you live, but you can't jump to America and play Americas and jump to Europe's and play Europe's and jump to Asia. You can play in one of them. Pick one, but once you're qualified for a Players Tour, it's any of those that you would like to attend. You can't play it in all regions. So there's a way to qualify for the Players Tour. This will be the top finishes by record. All MPL players are in there. All Rivals players are in there. Players who finish in the top 8 of a Grand Prix. This is making Grand Prix way more important because you essentially get to the PT that way. And we'll talk about the Players Tour finals here in a minute, which makes GP winners really crazy important. There's going to be last chance qualifiers, WPN qualifiers, Players Tour qualifiers that we talked about. Premier Series event, thinking of the SCG circuit, for example, is going to be a Premier Series. MTGO qualifiers, Hall of Famers are going to get in there. That's great. And, of course, discretionary invitations as they see fit. So the Players Tour Finals. This is going to be after those Players Tour happens, okay? It's going to be the highest level anybody can play in tabletop. This is the echelon of tabletop play. And let's say it's the pinnacle of tabletop Magic. There's going to be 3 Players Tour Finals in 2020. Each will have around 120 people vying for $250,000. The winner of these events will be invited to compete at the World Championship. That's the $1 million World Championship. And these events will award player points because they're tabletop events. So who can play in this like super echelon event? The top finishers from the Players Tour events based on record, the top finishers from previous Players Tour finals, so previous events of this type. All 24 MPL players get in there, and each Grand Prix winner in a qualifying season. Oh my God. That means if you win a Grand Prix, you get to play in the PT, and then you get to play in the PTF, the big PT that's going to have the most money. That means if an MPL member reaches the finals of a Grand Prix, and their opponent is not qualified for the Players Tour Finals, you're going to have a very interesting and awkward conversation with who's getting that win and who's getting that slot. Now, yeah, I would hope that it would pass down, but I don't know, and I'm not sure Wizards has even addressed this yet.
No, they haven't.
Certainly something that has come to mind. There was a podcast today from BDM and Zvi Mauschwitz where they just kind of like live read over and sort of their initial impressions, the hottest of takes. And all of it went really well. So, okay, so that's essentially the paper part. The paper part now has these PTs, which go to like the Monster PT. 3 times a year is the PTs in all these different areas, along with 3 giant PTs in all these different areas, which is great. We now have essentially the Platinum Pros, which are MPL. We have Gold Pros, which are essentially the rivals, because the Platinum, the MPL winners, they're going to get $50,000 in appearance fees over the course of the season, which means you got to show up. There's no more of this BS, you stay home and you still get rewarded crap. No.
It's not BS.
It's a little BS.
It was the agreement before. You can't. You're hating the players and not the game, Evan.
Fair enough. Either way, I thought that you should show up at these events that they're paying you or whatever.
Sure, but if you're gonna,
I
go, then you should pay.
Oh no, is this a red zone?
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay. The point is, we now have 2 echelons. Now, what is essentially missing from there is anything else. For tabletop players, they're like, if I do good at a Grand Prix, if I top 16 at Grand Prix, nothing. I'm getting some players points
anything
or whatever.
past, I think, 9th place at a Grand Prix just doesn't really matter. And
you get Bubkiss for like level pro.
You do get those players points or whatever, and those counts in total amounts of qualifying for things, but that's not really what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how do you get to the Pro Tour when you still do well? You top 32 a GP, you top 16 a GP consistently over a season. You should probably be rewarded for that in some way. The best on the planet can't win more than 6.5 games out of 10. Its variance is going to happen. In order to travel all these events, you're not going to be able to spike them over and over and over unless you're cheating. So don't do that. So I think something in the middle there would be good. All right. So the arena tournaments.
Did you say arena?
Arena. Sorry. I was looking at that E, man. Arena.
He's talking a lot. Let it slide.
Magic Arena tournaments are going to happen. They're the only ones going to award mythic points. These points will count for qualifications for the Rivals League and for the MPL. Besides the Invitational, Mythic Qualifiers and Mythic Challengers, both of those played from home, will award these points. So we've had Mythic Championships, which are turning into Mythic Invitationals. They're going to have 3 of them next year with a $750,000 prize pool.
Wow.
These events will have all MPL members, the winners of Mythic Qualifiers, and players invited at WotC's discretion. The winner of each Invitational will be invited to play at the World Championship. So this is the Pro Tour from Magic Arena's side of things. The Mythic Qualifiers are opening up to 200 more people. Instead of being in the top 1,000, you can be in the top 1,200.
Nice.
In order to play in those, and either limited or constructed, which is pretty cool. They're going to award mythic points for everybody who makes day 2. In addition to the points, the top 16 players will be invited in the corresponding Mythic Invitational.
Right.
Which is nice. So that's how you get to the Pro Tour on the arena side.
Right.
Mythic Challenges won't feed any other event, but they will award those mythic points. Qualifying for these events will require the same ranking, 1,200 or better. And they haven't released any more details about that, but they're just saying, look, you can get more of these mythic points through events on Arena if you're qualified. So do well. GPs are certainly not dead at this point. GPs just got added a ton of value, like a ton.
Magic Online is still a factor in this as well. You can qualify for something with that as well. So I'm glad that both of those things still have value.
Yeah, note that Magic Online qualifiers are going to the Players Tour. This is the tabletop tour, which honestly makes a lot more sense. Than trying to jam them into the arena thing anyway. Just be kind of weird. So so you still have that opportunity, and so that's kind of where we're at. There's a lot of details. I'm not going into everything. I'm just trying to explain that we now have top tier, we have middle tier. They need to add a lower tier, but overall, this is a very merit-based system.
They've recently announced that there is some sort of semblance of something coming for consistent or continued high-level play. So there are going to be more announcements coming moving forward. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'm not going to pretend that I understood a lot of those flowcharts, but I do want to give Wizards credit for something. The rollout of this was really, really well done. You know, I in particular have been very critical about the fact that over the last year or two, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of community management happening from Wizards. Wizards' usual MO when it comes to delivering big announcements is to drop it at like 4 p.m. on a Friday, say nothing, and then let people kind of stew in their juices for the weekend. There were people on Twitter responding to things immediately. I saw at least 2 official Wizards staff members in the Reddit thread answering questions, keeping the message on the rails. That was fantastic. And this seems to have been really well received by a lot of people. Even if people aren't entirely on board, they're not necessarily against it. They're more cautiously optimistic. And I think one of the reasons why this rollout was so successful is because they were managing that message as opposed to just dropping this bomb and then running behind some sandbags and covering their ears. Like, I was very, very impressed with that, with how this was handled.
For sure. I think that the communication is something that we have been, I mean, the communication has been our biggest issue on this show the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a common theme for all of 2019. What is an MPL? Well, this announcement goes a long way, does not go all the way, but goes a long way towards helping answer that question. And now that this information is public and seems to be starting the conversation where they are willing to answer questions, it's very nice that we now have this open avenue of conversation. So the bottom line for me is this is a good start. I'm glad we have all of this information. I'm glad that we get to dissect it. And I believe that we should keep dissecting it rather than, you know, I mean, Evan, that 10-minute thing was nice, but we should talk about what it means. You know, this is a good start. It is by no means comprehensive. There is still a huge problem with the gap between, you know, the 33rd place equivalent and everyone, you know, the bronze level, silver level, even a lot of the gold level pros.
Well, I'm not convinced that's a bug. I think that might be a feature because I remember when the MPL was first rolled out, you know, part of the reason why the MPL was established was because it got too difficult to please all of these people. You had the bronze pros, you had the SCG pros, you had that one guy that came in 7th at an RPTQ that one time. And so when you're trying to make changes to please everybody, and the definition of pro became very murky. And so they really needed to narrow down, what does being a pro mean? Where we're going to narrow it down to just these 32 people, these 64 people. We're going to make sure that we keep them happy. And this is what a pro is, because it became very difficult to please a pro when everybody thinks they're a pro.
Well, what I would note is that I appreciate the way they rolled it out, and like, here's an unbelievable fire hose of information. Enjoy, you know, because we're Magic players, we'll tear into it. Another thing I really, really appreciate is that there was nothing that like clearly stood out as bad. You know,
No, correct.
You may be upset with how it's very top heavy, and yeah, you got to spike all the things, but it's not like, you know, some boneheaded move right in the middle of it where you're like, oh God, Wizards, why? You know, there's none of that. There's none of that here, and I appreciate that. So I think it's been clearly vetted enough to not have any of those problems. Yeah.
In particular, I was pleased with the attention that Paper Magic seems to be getting. You know, I'm one of the people that has been a little afraid of how much progress Arena has made in that, I play Magic for the Gathering. And, the idea, my worst nightmare is that we're all kind of tethered to our computers and nobody's going outside, and we're not, having the car rides that we're used to, or we're not playing Commander, in hotel lobbies, and that we might lose the Gathering. And so to see them injecting so much life into paper Magic really makes me feel good. And I feel better knowing that we might not be losing that side of Magic, because that's very important to me. And I've been very scared that might happen.
I have a couple of concerns with this layout as I understand it, and I'm happy to be proven wrong later as I have more information from smarter people come into me. However, the division of the 3 regions of America, Europe, and Asia Pacific is a little concerning to me, specifically for Brazil and everywhere in the Asia Pacific that isn't Japan, because I feel like those places are going to be hampered by how many events or opportunities for events they're going to have. Europe is perfect. By the way, shout out to the South Africa Magic community. You're just not, you don't exist. That's really unfortunate, but where are you going to go, right? I guess you're Asia Pacific, but that's not great.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you can't please everyone and the splits of those things.
But I feel really bad for Brazil because America's, it means the United States, right? Like we're getting...
they did announce a premier circuit that's going to be in Brazil that's going to help feed to the players.
I think the team that Willie's affiliated with might have a hand in that, and if that's the case, they're in great hands.
I think so. So that's all good.
That's very good. I'm interested to see how many of those premier level tournament series, in addition to the Star City Games tour, are going to be. Because truth be told, if the SCG tour didn't exist, I'm not sure that qualification option would even be there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm interested to see what the development there is, if they what those qualify equivalents to PQs or the PPTQ equivalents. I have to get used to this whole new system anyway. But yeah, GPs, the biggest bottom line for me is the GPs are insane now. Winning a GP spikes you not only for the Pro Tour, but for the Super Mega Pro Tour that's on top of it, which unbelievable value.
It's basically a double qualification for
a 120 person tournament that has $250,000 prize pool. And the only way to qualify it, unless you're an MPL member, is to win a GP. That's pretty insane.
That's insane.
So, I don't know if this is too much to ask, or maybe I'm just fantasizing too much, but wouldn't it be fabulous if you could maybe tie Eternal Weekend into this, where it's because we know a lot of these guys love playing, right? We know a lot of these guys and girls love playing formats other than standard and limited. Sperling's a huge vintage fan. Jessica Stefan, I know, has talked about vintage before. Give these folks something else to play. Give them a chance to go to another event that's not just a standard GP or a modern open or something like that. That's another sort of premier type event that it'd be fun to mix and mingle.
They have some discretionary slots, right?
Yeah.
Let's use them.
I imagine discretionary slots are going to also...
Can you imagine Rich Shea at the Pro Tour? I'm Rich Shea. It'd be wonderful.
I imagine that a lot of the discretionary slot phraseology is there so that they have a lot of leeway in who they choose. But I also think that a lot of those slots are going to go to consistent Grand Prix play.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, if you can get Will Smith to show up and play Magic at the Players Tour or whatever, go nuts, man. Yeah. Let's do this. Get Danny Trejo out there slinging some cardboard. But, if you...
Just unrelated, did you see that he saved a baby the other day?
It's true.
That was the most heartwarming. You couldn't make that up. It was glorious.
It was pretty fan-freaking-tastic.
So, so I'm very happy. In this very moment, I am not displeased with the announcement. I think that there are things that need specified. I think that that change is always going to be scary. But the bottom line for me is, I think we know what the MPL is.
Yep.
I think we know what the future of paper Magic looks like. And there is a path from my chair to the top upper echelons that I can understand and see.
On the screen now, I'm kind of going through the announcement a little bit for you guys so you can see it. Again, there's this Rivals League, which is going to be right under the MPL.
I love that. And I think that creates such an interesting narrative of, you can kind of, it creates tension. You know, you can kind of, I don't want to say pit people against each other, but it does create that narrative of,
competitive, man.
Right, somebody's on the ropes, you know, maybe they haven't had a great season. You have this young, hungry upstart who's looking to sort of dethrone them. There are a lot of opportunities for you to spin that and to make it entertaining, to have people want to tune into that. I would watch that, you know.
I think the way that Zvi Mauschwitz put it was that it raises the stakes.
Yeah.
You know, we really care about what's happening. Like right now, this spark split thing you're doing, I don't.
No.
I just don't.
Because there's no stakes there. Like, I don't feel like if I miss that, I'm missing something. Do you know what I mean? Where like, I feel like if I'm watching that one, something's going down. Like, we're going to get a little ugly here, and I'm here for that. Like, that's what gets me to watch.
I also, as a soccer fan, am a big fan of relegation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Champions League, the first division, the second division of England, there's a reason why it's the most popular in the world. It has similar skills and skilled players to the rest of the world, but relegation just makes every game important. The games at the bottom are almost, if not more exciting than the games at the top. So when you have relegation games for that 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th ranked player, they become do or die. And you go, is this the game that sends them into the Rivals League? And you have that week to week, and that's going to be very exciting to watch.
Absolutely. And Wizards also announced that they're going to be, for the Players Tour qualifiers, they're going to be providing Cryptic Command as the promo.
It's a good
Oh, by
promo.
the way, as if we needed more reason to be hyped for this.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to more Jeskai control players, but okay.
Shout out to Gavin Verhey for getting the new guy in charge of promos, for getting a Cryptic Command promo that has the text of the card on it.
It is not a textless Cryptic Command. They sent those to everybody in their mailboxes, and that was weird. But they also did send you a $50, $50 bill in the mail.
$50 bill that didn't have any text on it. So.
True. So we'll get it on the screen right now. This is the most recent Jason Rainville art, which I absolutely love.
Yep.
So it is absolutely terrific. They are giving you a $40 bill just for showing up and playing these events, which is going to be terrific. So again, overall, I'm glad again that they there was nothing obviously dumb, and the other part was they didn't try to like say, oh hey, there's going to be a Players Tour. And, oh, there's going to be Players Tour qualifiers. And, oh, by the way, there's going to be WMCQ, whatever's. And, like, you know what I mean? They didn't drip this out. They said, we've worked on it, we thought about it, we put it all up, we got all these graphics, go. And all the Magic players are like, okay, great, this is great. Okay, what's wrong? Is anything wrong? Something's wrong? Okay. And, like, everyone's just kind of, like, checking themselves to make sure we're not all missing something weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Wizards, I really wish, for my own benefit, Ruben Bressler, Vagabond Roustabout Troubadour, host of Magic Mics, that if you'd released this information yesterday, I really could have synthesized it in my brain better, because I'm very stupid, and I needed more time to figure this out. Sperling got an article up in like 3 hours because he's a machine.
Yep.
But not all of us are BDM and Zvi. But so we're doing our best here. We're gonna have more as it develops, and I'm very interested to see what comes out like at Vegas, because that's like Disney.
Well, I'll let you know because I will be there. So
there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, also, we're going to move on here to Gathering the Townsfolk. Obviously, there will be links in the description. You guys can go check out the new eSports stuff as you see fit. But Magic Fest Minneapolis happened. Aaron, unfortunately, you were not a part of it. If you want to know the hows and whys in the pre-show,
yeah,
we'll share you there. But that said, Hogaak is broken. I don't know if you knew this. That card is busted.
Yeah,
we need to get rid of it. It's 5
I
at the
do
top
want to
8.
give a shout out to Ryan Overturf. He made top 8 at this event, and people were having so much fun watching his journey. And more importantly, he won. He did well with the deck that he had worked on. He had been working on a mono red prowess list, and he put the time into it. He tuned it, and this was his creation. And so, in a format like Modern, where we are sort of seeing the usual suspects, to see somebody working hard on a deck as opposed to just sort of throwing in the towel and playing Hogaak was really, really inspiring. And a lot of people people were rooting for him. And that was definitely one of the bright spots of coverage, especially because he is from the area. So, to have the sort of beloved personality, this hometown hero, do well was just great.
You gotta love any modern deck that has Crash Through, Lava Dart, and Burst Lightning.
Wow. What are cards I will never play for 200?
He also had a copy of Shenanigans in his sideboard.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
Get those shenanigans going.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And obviously being able to sort of build his own deck, take this idea of his and bring it all the way to the top of the GP, which was awesome.
It can be done. Yeah.
Yeah. It is still possible to brew your own way through.
Sure.
Which is awesome. That said, Hogaak, 5 of the top 8.
It's a problem.
It's just a problem. It's a big problem.
And they're not going to make an emergency ban for Hogaak.
They announced that.
Can I just say the ratio on that tweet was delightful. But I mean, their hands are kind of tied in that if you do ban it, Vegas is next week. Like, can people find a new deck? I mean, Modern is expensive right now. If you ban the top deck a week before Vegas, who's going to be able to find another deck in that time? Probably not a lot of people. And so I think that, I think ultimately it is best to wait until the time frame, but I can certainly understand why people want it now.
Yeah, I mean, that's just sort of human nature, right? Like, we want to just fix the problem now. And it's like, well, some people have spent many, many hours playing and building and getting those cards together and having a plan for the mirror and trying to figure out what the next piece of tech is and whatever. And if your options are both bad, let's probably just stay the course, because otherwise you're going to take a decision that you don't like and make one that you also don't like, which also makes people really upset. So is it better to try to do that? I don't think so.
Yeah. And I also think if you are here to compete, I think to a certain extent, what's on the ban list is irrelevant. Like, if you need to qualify, you're going to qualify. Like, it doesn't matter if you have to play. You're oftentimes not playing decks you want to play anyways. So I think most grinders are like, all right, this is the pool I have to draw from. Let's do it. Like, they're not analyzing it as much as, we talked about the different kinds of pros than other pros might be.
Right, and don't worry, there's a ban and restricted update in like 2 weeks, so it's just
the week of my birthday.
Right, just after Vegas.
After Vegas, yeah.
And so Vegas will be sort of Hogaak's last stand. If you have your Hogaaks, go play and enjoy them, while you can.
Yeah.
You're in Hogaak in Las Vegas.
Now, there are still people who don't think that they're going to ban Hogaak, and
those people.
It's tricky. I mean,
it's tough. Well, I already have a lunch bet with somebody at work.
Do you?
That they're like, it's not going to ban. They're going to ban Faithless Looting. They're going to ban something. I'm like, no, dude. They didn't mean for that card to be that good, but they really got to get past Vegas. I understand. We'll see. Maybe I'll buy him lunch. We'll get to that. Okay. All right. So there was a memorial stream by Bryan Gottlieb with the podcast he does with Jerry Thompson. That's the forgive me here.
Arena Playlist, Arena Deck List.
Arena Deck Lists is the new name.
Absolutely. The GAM podcast. That's what it is.
Right. Well, GAM, they changed their name.
Right. They changed their name.
They were GAM. Yeah. I know that because Jerry unblocked me on Twitter.
That's nice. Which was great. I believe, let's see, he raised a whole bunch of money.
Over $5,000.
Over $5,335, or exactly that amount, for his charity. So congratulations to that.
Yeah. This was amazing. And we've seen a couple of people. I think Jim Davis raised over $2,000. And I think there's a local game store that's also doing a fundraiser for Alex. And this is the definition of like what to do with your platform. Like, we have all of these things, you have followers, you have subscribers, and you have viewers, and you have readers. And, I think sometimes we kind of ask ourselves, like, what is it really worth? Like, what does it really mean? And so to be able to turn all of that into a tangible positive, like money, like support, like, covering funeral costs or whatever, this is exactly what it's all about. This is ultimately why we do what we do. And if you can't turn it into something like that, then why even bother, And so this was amazing. And I love seeing all of these efforts. And I just hope to see more things like that.
Focusing, and you mentioned earlier Danny Trejo and getting the baby out of the car after the accident and stuff. And it was one of the things he said struck me. He said that everything good in his life has come from helping other people, no matter what it is. And it's rare that you're going to have something negative come out of helping someone else in some way. And if you happen to have a platform and you have the time and the ability to give back and to help, I haven't seen it backfire once. It's not like, unless you do something bad with that money, you don't go through what you're saying you want to do.
Yeah.
It's always been a hugely positive, honestly heartwarming experience. It's really terrific. I want to quickly congratulate here to Tulare Community College, the professor himself, who just passed 100 million video views.
Wow. Jesus.
That's delightful.
Speaking of another way to use your platform, I mean, the one thing I always have to compliment the professor on is that he does an amazing job of bringing people up with him.
Mm-hmm.
He had me in his infamous Dredge video. Tappy Topaz was just, a joyride at a convention, and then he put her in a video, and she said herself the other day that changed everything for her. Giving people like Olivia a platform and Atlas Crafts a platform, and that's what you're supposed to do. Again, what are you using a platform for? It would be very easy to be like Smog and hoard everything and be like, these are my Patreon dollars, these are my subs, these are mine, me. But it's another to bring people up with you and to use that to shed a light on somebody else and to give them even a tenth of what you have. And he's really been a pioneer in terms of that, where if you want to know what to do when you hit it big, or you even hit it kind of big, that's the example of what to do.
All right. So moving on here to Desperate Ravings. It's not often I get to be at the very top of the subreddit, and it's usually not a great thing, as it turns out to be. The phrase "living terrible idea factory" showed up for me as one of my tweets was highlighted in a Reddit thread about Cube April really just dunked on Evan just from the top rope, and I'm like, okay, really?
It was fine.
Look, here was the thing, right? That we were still in the lamentation of, oh my God, Paper Magic's going to die. We didn't know what happened at the Grand Prix. We couldn't even see the decks playing because there was no coverage. We've been down this road before, and I threw out the most succinct, clear way I could say to get GP coverage back. GP coverage is very expensive. I know. I've created SCG Live, which is now SCG Tour. I'm telling you, that stuff costs a ton of money and time. And in order to get that coverage that you want, it's going to cost about $20,000 every event. And you're like, $20,000? Well, first of all, you got to pay $4 to $5 grand just for the internet.
Yeah.
Then you got to fly them. You got to pay them. You got to feed them. You got to have wear and tear on all of that equipment. That stuff just stops, working after a while, particularly when you're lugging it around the country. And have all of those things in place in order to make that coverage happen. So what I said was, look, the GP promo each year is a Kickstarter. Each event costs about $20K. Your stretch goals are going to be more events being covered. Your goal is to get half of the events covered, so that's a $400,000 Kickstarter. And that's the only way that you can get that promo. That's the idea. I tried to keep it nice and succinct. That's 5 lines. There you go. That's it. And then the world lost their collective minds as to, Evan, how dare you? How dare you betray the community and say that this giant corporation doesn't want to spend $800,000 of their marketing budget on crap that only super crazy invested people want to see? It's weird because that is your reality. And people are just like, Wizards just had their best year ever. Yeah, Wizards also just canceled GP coverage. Hello? Correlation is not causation, but you're giving them a pretty good correlation, y'all. So if you want this stuff that we like, like when they travel and they took GP Reed Duke, and we followed Reed Duke all around the Grand Prix, and
we did.
That was amazing. I love the hell out of that. And yes, I would buy a promo. Yes, we are paying for Wizards advertising because you know what? Because we like that advertising. We enjoy watching those players play. We enjoy seeing those cards there. And hell yeah, I will pay a big multi-million-dollar corporation to give me what I want. That's kind of how it works. They have decided that $800,000 is better spent on arena and arena tournaments and paying arena streamers and whatever the hell else they're doing without that money than to give it to GP coverage, who is showing to people, to an audience that just does not grow, but loves it, but just does not grow and has not grown in many, many years. So if this is what you want, you're going to have to pay for it. And yeah, man, it sure sucks to pay for their advertising, but you know what? That's some pretty awesome advertising, and I like to watch it, and I would put my money where my mouth is on that one. That's it, I'm out. That's all I got.
That was amazing, and I loved it. And I don't think you're wrong, but I'm also not going to come to your defense. Yeah, not a hill I'm willing to die on.
Well, the tide did eventually turn. You know, the Reddit thread started off kind of roasting you, but you said that people eventually like kind of came around to your idea, and that some people did kind of defend it.
It was nice, and there were some kind words from me in there, and I appreciate it. I'm not, not the best font of terrible ideas, but I
think
one.
You're an idea machine, and you can't control what kinds of ideas.
Oh my god! If we go back to Theros, we need a font of terrible ideas, and it needs to be like the artwork, just like the man from Monopoly. Just
I am definitely what I would describe as an idea man. I love ideas. I like new things, different things. I like to try to figure out creative ways to solve problems, and the problems we like to solve, which is damn.
Not everything's going to be the light bulb.
Are you a Libra?
Yeah.
I knew it.
I'm also a Libra.
You're seriously? You both are Libras?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shut up.
No.
Wow.
Why is that?
You have you have Ruben's support, but not his axe.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Why is it Libra centric?
Is that we want to see all things equally in both sides?
Libras are very creative people. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Virgos are very critical people.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So
we're also very good at guilting people. Have you ever heard the joke of how many Virgos does it take to change a light bulb?
Go on.
None. Virgo would rather sit in the dark and suffer.
Wow.
Well, I like how this is.
Mercury's in retrograde, y'all. So that means we got to move on.
Yeah.
Jeff Hoogland.
We haven't talked about him in a while.
Hey, speaking of bad idea machines.
Oh my God! Somebody
He's got it, Jeff, not me. Don't tag me on Twitter. Go.
Jeff is great. I just love that segue.
Somebody call the cops! Oh my God!
Jeff's gonna come to my house and hoot from outside my window.
Oh my God! I almost choked on my peach ring.
I love Jeff. It was just too much of a low hanging.
It was right there, dude.
That was low hanging hoog, is what that was.
A low hooging fruit?
Oh my Lord God. Okay, so.
Oh my God, I don't want to imagine that now.
Don't look. You see what you've done? We got top and bottom MPL members. Oh my Lord. A quick comparison, he says on Twitter, of the MPL weekly stream, quote, viewers versus popular esports at the same time today. I'm going to go ahead and bring this tweet up on the screen.
This is pretty damning.
The second is Overwatch League, and the third is Riot Games. So if you take a look here, the first one he says here is the MPL stream viewers. So you have the difference of the Twitch viewer number was 18,409. The actual people in chat room was 3,314. So that means they purchased, quote unquote, allegedly.
Well, maybe
15,095 views. Okay. And the next one, you have 80,000 people with 61K in the chat. And the last one, this would be in the Riot one, is 120,000 people and 77.9 in the chat. So that is just a comparison, a nice way to say, look, well, between the idea of, and this is Desperate Ravings, oops, and between the idea of, we're getting these big high ratings for these splits things, when you might not really be, considering the behavior we've seen so far.
There are a number of reasons to play devil's advocate why someone might not be in the chat. When you watch on your TV, you're not in the chat. When you watch on your phone, you might not be in the chat. Right. But that does not explain the huge gap between 3,300 and 18,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elaine mentioned it in the latest interview. I think she did an interview. I think it was the Daily Dot or the Dot, something with Dot in it. And she also once again referenced those numbers. And we've seen this with other games as well. I don't think it's unique to Magic, but you have these companies that are making these very important decisions based on these numbers that have been shown time and time again to not be entirely accurate. We've seen that in journalism. Look at all these websites that rush to make video content, and then whoops, come to find out Facebook didn't have the numbers right and nobody was watching these videos. And now you've laid off all of these departments. And so, there's just no way to really know who's watching, how many are watching, especially if you know that you're consciously inflating that number. I think it's really shaky ground to put so much on those numbers when they really can't be verified, or they may not even be real. And
Right. Like
I know some numbers that are real though. We're what, million lifetime views coming up?
Yeah, there you go.
almost at 1 million lifetime downloads for the podcast. Thank you,
Oh my
guys.
God.
That's 1% of a professor.
Sure is.
Although that's not downloads, that's views. That's different.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll take it though. 1 million is great. Thank you, everybody.
Million's a lot.
Millions of
Yeah.
much. We should be.
A million. We'll pop some corks on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, we should reach it ideally by the end of the year. So we're trending that way, which is always
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Super, super good. How stupidly busted is Hogaak? How broken? Someone's like, they're going to be like, Grandpa, how broken was Hogaak? I'm going to be like, Gerb.
MaRo recently alluded to it in a Blogatog post. We have made broken cards in all the colors. Our most recent mistake is a black-green hybrid. The last time he said something like that, he was talking about Dredge. So
imagine that you downloaded a deck list from a website and you built the deck in Magic Online, but you forgot to put that magical space between the deck and the sideboard, so just put all 75 in the main, and then you entered in a league and you won the league anyway. 75 cards in the main, all of your sideboards in it, and you win anyway. That's how stupidly broken this stupid deck is.
bless their heart. Yeah, it's pretty bad right now, and it's just not fun to watch, and it's not good. I'm not and like I said, I don't like it because it keeps modern Dredge down. And so I have to say though, when it comes to other formats, I like seeing what Hogaak is doing. He's seeing play in the survival decks in Vintage. There's a new legacy archetype revolving around Dark Depths, where if you
I saw that.
Yeah, so if you can't necessarily do the Dark Depths thing, we'll just make a Hogaak. That's fine too. And so I think there are fair-ish uses for the card that I think are really, really cool. But I think in Modern in particular, there's just no getting around it, that there's just nothing else you really could be doing. And why would you want to? And the fact that people can pick it up without seemingly any practice and seem to do well with it, it's just kind of jamming at this point.
You got to stop it with the Delve, Wizards. We're done. The Delve is too good. I don't care. You keep pumping those numbers higher, and we use it anyway. Oh my God, that's a broken mechanic.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Some last bits here of splashy damage. Get that up right up on the screen. Chris Clay joined Gods Unchained. Now he kind of just up and left. We're not really sure, obviously, the details of those things, nor is it our business. But Chris Clay was the former lead designer for Magic the Gathering Arena. He joined the blockchain-based online card game Gods Unchained.
That might be my least favorite combination of words.
It was very misleading for me. I was like, blockchain? And then I was like, oh, that's not what I think it means.
Blockchain. Oh, yeah, sure.
I was like, I can make a game out of blocking people? Sweet.
Wow. That sounds...
I'm not... card game is...
if they have those game jams, and they're just like, make a pirate game about shooting crossbows or something weird.
Right.
And they're like, the Aaron blockchain game of block everyone coming at your social media.
Yeah.
I have to say, the last 2 weeks have been particularly stressful to me because everybody recently started using these anime characters, and I normally block anime waifus on site. And so, normally just going through my homepage is like, oh, that's Emma. I can't block her. And that's Chantal. No, she stays. It's very, don't do that.
Anime profiles.
This game that we're inventing right now is going to be called Social Bleedia.
Wow.
Someone needs to trademark that right now.
The subtitle is Never Tweet Your Heroes. and you have a gun made of tweets that shoot little birds.
Take my money. Take my money.
You have to block and mute and dodge and don't get ratio.
Subtweets and
you're trying to shoot this little moving target, and if you hit the target enough, it floods the entire basement. That's how you get to the next level.
Can be your metric.
Yeah. The first person to get to 10,000 followers without getting canceled wins.
Oh my God, this is brilliant.
Well,
I would play this game.
This game is using blockchain technology to give players ownership over their digital assets. There's going to be a version of a card, and you're going to be the only one to own it.
Nobody's going to take ownership of my assets.
Hey-o. Well,
this is weird.
It's a weird kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, as we keep iterating. Last week we talked about Argent Saga, and Argent Saga was a big Kickstarter that...
Right.
I mean, everything's a remix. Don't get me wrong. I get it. And that game is a gigantic remix of all the games. Some of them I can't even stand. And You know, hey, look, man. Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm out. I can't with you. I'm sorry.
We all know how I feel about Yu-Gi-Oh players.
You know, it's all good, but I just can't do it. But yeah, so the idea that you're able to make a card game, that able to make an object that only you own and or possess is kind of neat.
Yeah. It is kind of cool.
And honestly, one of the big things that's hampered Magic previously in the past is there are no serial numbers. There's no barcodes on your Black Lotus, which means if I pick it up and I take it over here, I can say it's my Black Lotus because there's nothing that says otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's always been an issue, and this attempts to solve that.
Yeah.
That said, we also want to mention here real quick about our sort of a splash damagey thing, which is Dungeons and Dragons. We did Mikes and Magic for a few weeks, for 3 weeks, which was a thing. And then yesterday we did not do Magic, or Mikes and Magic rather. And we officially said while it was super duper fun, we kind of painted ourselves in the corner in a variety of ways. We go into it in the pre-show.
Yeah.
But we're just going to sunset it for now.
Right. So we're almost certainly going to play D&D as a threesome again. Yesterday there were just like so many things that all came together to be like, all right, we're not going to do it today. Right. And at this point, I am kind of swamped in D&D stuff, which is good, but I can't really focus on making a cohesive, fun story while I'm doing other things.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I got invited to a D&D game with some friends next month. I went into this probably the greenest when it came to D&D, and I didn't expect to like it. And I walked away from this experience really, really enjoying D&D. So my friend Corey is getting ready to launch a game next month. It's going to be 4 bears, myself, and 1 poor cis girl. And it is going to be an amazing time, and I'm so excited. He's sending me an invitation that's going to like kickstart the game, and I wouldn't have agreed to do this if we hadn't done our game, and I realized how much I could enjoy this. So thank you for at least opening the door for me to enjoy D&D, and I can't wait.
This fall on ABC Family, 3 bears.
I'll be playing Ayula the home game.
3 bears and 1 poor cis girl.
Queer eye for the straight D&D'er. I got it. Right.
I would watch that.
That'd be pretty freaking fantastic.
Can you imagine, Ruben? Like just 5 men show up to your D&D game and tell you what you're doing wrong? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know if they'd show up and tell you what you're doing wrong. They would just like be like, "Ooh, I don't know. I think that this class
with those shoes."
Right, I was just gonna say this +1 longsword with that stat bonus. I don't know. The whole motif is just messy. I don't know.
Little lack of initiative here.
Is that your DM screen? Seriously? Seriously? Oh my God! All right, so we got a few more minutes to burn here, as it were. Just double checking we didn't miss any stories. Let's see here. Yeah. All of it's kind of crazy. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the finisher. Then we'll come back to the giveaway, and then of course the thanks and whatnot. And by the time we finish with the thanks,
has someone that we should raid/host after.
Yes, we are taking suggestions for a raid, and with an emphasis on folks who maybe don't have a lot of viewers. Like I love the professor, but he's usually coasting on like 400 viewers. Like he don't need no raid. Let's give somebody with like 50 viewers or something like that. Let's boost somebody up.
Absolutely. That said, let's go ahead and turn our corner to the finisher. For months, I've been asking the question, what is the MPL? Well, this week we finally got an answer, but sometimes when you reach the end of a quest, it leaves a hole in your heart. A knight who finally slays the dragon they've been searching for their whole life suddenly needs new purpose. So help me, friends, now that there is a clear path to the Magic Pro League and my Grail quest has come to an end. Help me find purpose again by telling me, what should my next quest be, Ruben?
Well, I'm now fully down the Hogaak emergency banning conspiracy theory rabbit hole. Forget you can't spend mana to cast this spell. I can't wait for Wizards on Thursday morning, 9:55 a.m. of the GP in Vegas to announce you can't cast this spell at all.
Just scratch it right out. It's right there in the middle. Nope. Nothing at all. Aaron?
Well, now that we've got 2019's version of hashtag pay the pros out of the way, we can now get back to 2019's version of hashtag pay the artists. And with GP Vegas next week, now more than ever, it is time to ask that important question. Is that Noah Bradley's ass? Is that
Oh my God.
Is that his business?
Is it his butt?
It's a good butt, but I mean, whose butt is it? It's gotta be his, right? Like,
oh, this is a nice butt. It turns out. I'm just saying, if you happen to pay attention to Noah Bradley's Twitter, and he does like, here's like, some butts. High percentage is his butt. It's like it's really running hot, like 75 to 80% chance. Noah butt. You're not just going to say that. You don't have to.
Why go out and get models for your art when you just are one?
There you go.
That's true. I mean,
It's really nice. That said, my journey is complete. My quest is finished. Looks like we made it, but there's other mountains to climb, and not just the one from Aaron's wall. So now that we've answered the question, what's an MPL? It's now time to ask a new question. What can I be wrong about next? Really, Wizard? Really, Ruben? Really? Wow.
Wow, self-burn. Those are rare.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Ruben writes our jokes for us in advance when we're doing the pre-show, and most of the time we don't read these before we do this live. Occasionally, sometimes we'll take a glance at it, but a lot of times we don't know what these jokes say until we're here.
You guys heard that little boop earlier? That was me explaining to Ruben I didn't have a punchline. This was our punchline.
I made one for you. You're welcome.
You sure did. You did good. See?
It says here in our Google chat, I have no punchline. It's because you are the punchline.
Wow.
Welcome.
Where is the ointment? Jesus.
Take 1d4 sick burn damage. Mark that down on your character sheet.
Does resistance come into play?
Oh, there's a modifier. There's a big, giant modifier.
Got it. Okay.
It's my noggin. All right.
Did we get any suggestions? I didn't. Oh, here we go.
We got about half dozen different suggestions. Yeah. Right. Bloody seems like a nice girl. We could do that.
Bloody's great.
Okay.
I would highly recommend Bloody's.
She's also trans mafia, so I support that.
I watched Bloody for a while during the streamer event.
Okay.
First of all, streams like 50 hours a week, just an unbelievable amount of streaming, and also just has like a soothing voice that is just like very enjoyable.
Yeah. I get a little too weirded out when people are too calm, so like I can't sit there too long because I'm just like, what is up your sleeve? Like, what are you plotting? But yeah, seems like a good kid.
Very nice. All right, so let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and start. Well, again, we got a couple seconds here.
We got bits and stuff?
Yeah, I'm going to do the subscribers first here. Okay. As Ruben thinks about how poorly that joke was written and how he should feel bad about himself.
Okay, sure.
I do know that 3 days ago, I think this was your Patreon stream, Ruben. Mike or Otta 6.
Yes.
Or Mike or Otta 6 subscribed for 7 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beckstrom Saves the Day, subscribed via Prime. Thank you. Michael Lorg, subscribed for 5 months at Tier 1. Looking forward to today's show, they said. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. The Pilot, subscribed for 9 months. That's a sub, baby. Feels like the first time, they said, like the very first time.
Wow.
Mr. Labubu.
Also the first time you said his name right.
I didn't go, the P-Lot? Is it the P-Lot? I'm not sure if it's the P-Lot. Mr. Labufu subbed for 15 months. Thank you, buddy. 15 months, they say, enjoy a pun. Did you hear about the chameleon that was having trouble changing color? It's suffering from a reptile dysfunction.
I just want you to know, if you think that there's no one out there for you, I want you to know that Lubu makes puns like that, and he's about to get married soon. So there is hope for you if you're watching.
Hope for everyone. Big Lou, 154, 6 months. Thank you so much. 6 months in, and we finally know what an MPL is, they say. Glad to be here as always. You three are awesome and have turned around my crappy week. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blue Monkey 477 for 3 months. Thanks much. Tim's Wars subscribed for 15 months. Thank you so much. MPL : Magic is Friendship. Very nice. Seafoam Ivy sub via Prime. Thanks for those Bezos bucks. Camarek 85 sub for 10 months at Tier 1. Thank you so much. Shame MTG subscribed for 7 months. Said almost a Twitch baby. Got 2 to go. John Delgado, subscribe via Prime. Thank you much. Saifu Hotman 451, subscribe. Mad Science 532, and Medina Streams. Hey, John Medina.
Hey.
We rated him last week.
Yes.
Awesome.
Subscribed with Prime.
Discovered me. Hey, John.
John's a good man. Very, very awesome. First met him at a extended PTQ. I believe it was in Kentucky. Something like that. This was.
I was on 2 episodes of the Bridge podcast with John.
I will never forget. I had him on the Deck Tees back when I was on. When I first started podcasting, I was on a tiny little gaming website called the G-Kick Network, which I think is still around. And I remember I had Medina on my show, and I'll never forget. After it was over, he sent me an email, and he was like, "So how much? What do I have to do for your show, or what do I have to do to get your show?" And I was like, "You just go to iTunes." I was like, you just download the little link. He's like, "No, I want your show. I want you, and I want your show." And I was like, "Can I have like cards?" I didn't know what I was worth. I didn't know what I could get. And yeah, he was the first person that gave me my first big break. And I got on legit MTG, which I still have my legit jersey. And from there, it all snowballed, and now I'm here. So
very nice.
Did we miss Young Mage?
It looks like somehow we did via our activity feed here. My apologies, Young Mage. MTG Young Mage sub for 15 months in a row. You are awesome, buddy. Thank you. Very much.
Got the gold microphone.
And Spree757 squeezed in there, as well as CCM White for 5 months. Thank you guys so very much. You want to take the bits here, Ruben?
I will. I'm going to be Bad Idea Machine Evan Irwin.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all. This here's banjo strumming Bad Idea Machine. What in tarnation? 3 dudes seriously. Bryan to remember has given us.
I have a fan.
Bryan to remember has given us 45 bits. Shame MTG 69 bits. Hooey boy, howdy, that nice. House of Shadow 420 bits. That's the drugs number, I do believe. Thunder Force 1 469 bits. That's like a combo of both the two funny numbers. The pilot has Havelhard. Nope, hold on. I don't know how to words good. Let me think. Halvar.
Chewing the scenery. Chew it.
Halva here has subscribed. I'm doing Evan's part as well as the voice. Halva here gave us 500 bits. And Martin Kaka is back, everybody. Martin Casa gave us 1,000 bits.
Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and do us a giveaway here. Pick a winner. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to OCEAT.
Yay.
OCEAT?
Nice.
OCEAT? I don't know how you would say that. But congratulations to them. Please get in touch with Erin if she has not blocked you already. We'll see. All right. Have we picked who we're rating? Is it Bloody? Is that right? Bloody it is. I'm going to go ahead and get that ready so you guys can have that good to go. Okay, that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me.
Goodness gracious. Thank you, Ruben.
Snap! Thanks for having me.
Hey, y'all.
I didn't
Pronounce
buy
words
myself a fan, so.
You ain't got none. No snaps. Bringing here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe, do everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.